Sure.
Well, hi, Brian. We're so excited to have Fuse Fashion Mag feature Art and Science of Eyewear here in Lafayette, California, in our wonderful editorial fashion layout. You know, this is the first time that our magazine has really introduced or wanted to feature fashion in eyewear. So the title being Eye on Fashion. We are here to get the lowdown on what's happening in eyewear. And the first question that we have, and I know our readers will definitely would need to know this information, is how on earth do we really go through the frame selection, the eyewear selection as a current woman today that's, you know, hip and excited about life? How do we select the particular style or design?
Well, essentially there's three things we're going to be looking at. One of them is size, the other is going to be the shape, and then the third is going to be more about the aesthetics. So luckily for us, size is pretty well defined by our face. So we have our orbit, and with that there we have the top brow line, we have the bottom, and we have the side here, and that's really going to be framing for us. So just like with the picture, you have a mat and that's going to draw you in towards the picture, the frame is to do the same idea. So basically we don't want to be too far above or below the orbit there. And what that's going to do is, again, keep us in a good frame there. Sometimes with an oversized look we can go a notch or two above that, but we usually don't want to go below, otherwise we can seem a little disproportionate. Now regarding shape, same kind of a thing. Following the jawline, following the arch of the brow, we want to contour along with that and complement. It doesn't have to match exactly. Speaking of the brow line, depending on where the arch is or if it's flat, again, we want to contour that with the upper portion of the frame. On the bottom and on the angle here on the side, if we have a narrowing or tapering through the jawline here, we want to complement that with the side of the frame. It's also going to give lift there as well. Now,
well, and one of the things that I noticed going through the editorial layout today is I was noticing how the coloring of the frames really enhance skin tones. It seems to really give us that little bit of a color lift that and brightens the face. How do you work with colors with clients?
well, with colors, essentially everything wants to be complementary and flattering, but it's where we want to go in the spectrum of that. So if we want to match with the skin tones, we're going to be on the softer side. With basically we have the softer and then we have the bolder looks. And again, everything is going to be complementary and flattering, but they're going to be on that bigger spectrum. So do we want to be more playful, or do we want to be more subtle in our colorings with that? But generally we are going to be matching either the complexion, we're going to be matching the eyes. When we match the eyes, we're going to usually be a little bit more bold and playful in that way. And then also with the hair. Hair is always going to be changing, so it could be the tiebreaker basically, but generally they're based upon the complexion or the eyes.
Well, and one of the things that we found with Art and Science of Eyewear, your selection, all of your staff seems to be so incredibly prepared and know so much about creating those images. How many selections do we have to choose from? It seems to me like this is a kid in a candy store. You have one of the greatest selections of eyewear that I've personally ever seen. Do you have an idea of numbers or ideas that you share with your clients?
Well, so first things, we strive to have different hair. That's definitely a goal of ours. When doing frame selections, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes when people first come in and see what we do have here. Luckily, with us, we are going to be seasoned opticians as well as frame stylists. So we're going to have an understanding of both the optical portion of it as well as the style and aesthetics. So because of that, with us and our eye, we can very quickly screen out a good portion of style, sizes, things like that would not really be appropriate based on somebody's shape and what they're specifically looking for.
Well, I noticed that today we had, during the editorial and shooting, we shot so many beautiful pairs with our model, Gail Gabriel. I did hear a little bit about a rating system when it comes to selecting whether you want to have fun and flair, or maybe you're more of a quiet type. Can you share with our readers?
Yeah, so definitely. When we're looking at frames, there's basically 3 different modes that we can play with, and the scale is for how far into it you want to go. So we usually talk about texture, we talk about the shape, and what I would call like the form of the frame, and then there's also going to be the colors of the frame. So if you're playing with one of them, which is going to be the softer version of them, that's usually going to be complementary colors, meaning matching your complexion. When you then add in whether it be a stronger form or more texture, you then hit 2. And that's where we find a lot of our clientele here is in that realm. When you then hit all 3, being a strong form, color, and texture, that is definitely where you get into the more bold and playful styles.
Well, and that's when fashion really speaks to us in our eyewear, when we're, extending that little extra pop, so to speak. It's like having a great new pop handbag. We can do that now with eyewear.
Yeah, so for me as an example, I have a few different types of looks that I go for. This frame here is definitely has the form. So it has a strong form to it, the color is subtle, and the texture is really nothing there. So then if I go into something like this, we then introduce a little bit of color
those are
as
great.
well. So this is another look. We have a strong form and we have some color. And then I get into, really I play in the level 2. So this also has color, it has form, and a very small dash of texture. But this is where, for me, my comfort and play zone is.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for introducing beautiful eyewear and for representing art and science of eyewear here in Lafayette. Thank you for participating in our editorial, and we'll send all of our readers in to chat with you. Thank you again.
Well, thanks for coming in.